I recently completed my first round on the Andy Cutler Chelation protocol to handle my mercury toxicity issues, and I want to share my journey with you in the hope that it may help you on yours. First up, how did I get here? Cutting a long story short, I had a few amalgam fillings for over 15 years. I ate my fair share of tuna, and I took a V that broke the camel's back, as it were, in late 2017. I had my fillings removed almost 5 years ago in late 2018. I had intense symptoms of mercury poisoning for a couple of years or so after I had the fillings removed, but I had decided not to follow the Andy Cutler protocol at the time because I was worried how I might react to it. Probably the most visceral symptom that I had then was hypersalivation. At times, over the course of a couple of hours or so, I'd fill a full pint glass with spit while at home, and I needed to take regular breaks to the toilets to clear my mouth while at work. My health is much better than it was when I was at my lowest, but I still have a long way to go, so I'm coming back to the protocol now. You may be asking what the Andy Cutler Chelation protocol is. Briefly, Andy Cutler was a PhD chemist who had his own problems with mercury toxicity. He did a lot of experimentation to find things that worked and didn't work for him, and thankfully he shared them with the world. The protocol focuses on dosing mercury chelators according to their half-life to maintain a somewhat steady concentration in the body over the course of a few days or so, and supporting the body with antioxidants and minerals. It recommends a few days of chelation followed by a minimum rest period before starting again. If you want to learn more, check out the links in the description below or share your story in the comments. So I started my first round of chelation last Saturday morning and finished it this Tuesday morning. I didn't miss any doses and I was taking the Core 4, or my version of it, throughout. As it's been so long since I removed my amalgam fillings, which were my main source of continuous exposure to mercury, I'm pretty confident that I have little to no levels of mercury in my bloodstream generally. So I started chelation with both DMSA and ALA at 3 milligrams per dose, with doses every 3 hours or 4 hours during the night. If you only just removed your source of exposure, the protocol recommends that you start with just DMSA or DMPS, which only chelate mercury from the bloodstream and they don't cross the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so what and how did I feel during and after my first round of chelation? It's been kind of like stepping back in time. I had some really dark years after taking the V, after taking chlorella pills, and please do not do this if you're mercury toxic or think you are, and after having my amalgam fillings removed. I've been feeling some of this darkness again, but fortunately it's a much lower grade than it was before, and much more manageable. I've generally been exhausted, completely lacking motivation, found it much harder to concentrate, and not wanted to interact with others. I also noticed some other symptoms that are out of the ordinary. I have a lot of strange health symptoms, so I'm just focusing on the ones that I've had either more pronounced or different to the norm. I still hypersalivate from time to time, but I did notice that I was doing it more, especially while off-round this time. I've had tremors and ringing in my ears pretty much constantly, especially off-round. I found it harder to sleep, and I've been having violent dreams. I've noticed a lot more tension, but not pain, in my head, my right jaw where the lymph duct is, and in my stomach. Also, I occasionally had quick, but not very intense shocks of pain, especially in my head. I felt shaking in my eyes from time to time, and on a couple of occasions they were starting to water a bit. A few times I felt dizzy, lost balance, or just completely lost my train of thought. I've also felt cold, kind of light grade shivers internally. Had earworm, so when you have music just constantly going around in your head. The lack of motivation was really intense. After coming home from work, I really just wanted to lay back and do pretty much nothing, and most of the time I did. I've also been gravitating towards habits that don't really serve me anymore, like spending the evening just watching Netflix. One of the nights during the round, so while I was taking chelators, I felt lots of pulsation in my right arm, and at some point I thought that I was going to die if I kept taking the chelators and finished the round, but thankfully that passed quite quickly. All in all, my life has been much less comfortable than it is usually, but I'm really glad that I started the protocol. I had hoped that my body would be able to repair on its own if I removed the source of mercury exposure, but it has been 5 years now and I still have all sorts of weird health symptoms, so I'm wanting to sort this out. I'm also really optimistic for the future because my reaction to chelation, because I've had these strange symptoms, it seems obvious that I still have an issue with mercury. And if I remove that issue, then maybe some of the health issues that I have will go away. If you think you're mercury poisoned, I hope this account of my journey helps you convince yourself that you're not crazy, you're not alone, and you can heal.